going, gang? It's a final render here, and welcome to another exciting Fallout 76 news video. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new public test server that has been updated by Bethesda to show off a lot of the really cool new updates coming to Fallout 76 over the next coming weeks and months. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new daily ops system which has been added to the game. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff you can earn from the new event, A Colossal Problem, which is coming to the game hopefully this Tuesday. Gonna take a look at the brand new season of content and also the one Wasteland rebalance, which is all going to be coming to the game over the next few months. There's some great things and there are definitely some issues which we really need to have a very serious talk about. So let's go. But if you're new here and you haven't seen the Final Render channel before, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel to see more Fallout 76 news like this. We're a good bunch and we really like to see more people, and we are very nearly on 80,000 subscribers, so seeing you guys subscribe would be a fantastic support of the channel. But this is obviously the public test server, so I must remind people that spoiler warning, there is going to be a lot of content in here which includes story content and other things which are not currently in the game yet. So spoiler warning, Bethesda have asked people to remind them that if you talk about anything on this, please give a spoiler warning. So this is your warning. Thank you. So let's start off by talking about the new daily ops system that is being added to the game. The daily ops is something which I'm just going to say right now, I think is fantastic and I'm really happy it is here. The daily ops are essentially randomized dungeons which you can do every single day in order to earn some cool rewards. These are daily ops that go to various locations throughout the game in instanced interiors, and you will actually have to complete various objectives within a time limit. However, the enemies inside these dungeons have randomized kind of mutations or different bonuses to make the challenge difficult, and you may even need to strategize a little bit in order to beat this dungeon. So for example, today our daily dungeon was in the Valerie Galleria, a shopping centre, and they actually had enemies in there that would, one, have increased perception, but also could freeze us every time they hit us, so we were actually in a lot of trouble by that. But then we played it a second time around, and this time all the enemies had stealth boys, so we actually had very different challenges every single time we played the dungeon. And when you go and do these dungeons, they do recommend you be at least level 50, but you can do them at any level. And the better you do, the quicker you do the dungeon, the better rewards you get. We were able to complete it within the hardest difficulty time frame, which was under 8 minutes. So therefore, we got some of the best rewards, and it actually unlocked some cool items for the camp system. And I think it's a really cool thing to kind of give the combat a little bit of flavor, and also just to make it a little bit more interesting on a day-to-day basis. However, when I was playing this, I suddenly realized this might actually be the opening of Steel Dawn, because once the daily ops were opened up, we are able to go and meet a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, one of the original Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel members who deserted when everything went a little bit haywire in Watoga. And we can go and talk to them to get a little bit of information about the Appalachian chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel, and also just talk about the daily ops. And not only that, but this character who we talk to will actually kind of guide you in the daily ops and kind of talk to you on the radio, Metal Gear Solid style. It's actually very cool. And as I mentioned, all these daily ops are done in instance dungeons, which is very cool. But one thing which I really like is that Vault 94 has actually been opened up to the public, so you can walk around inside it, and it will also be a location for a daily dungeon, which I really like. It's been strange walking around Vault 94 after not playing it since the failed Vault raids. And also something interesting is that Vault 51 has actually changed a little bit. The door has broken down and there is now a no building area situated around Vault 51, so maybe something will be happening there like with daily ops. Who knows, we'll have to wait in the future. Another cool thing was that we were able to get a look at A Colossal Problem before it was released in a few days. Now the event is more stable than it appeared to be before, which is absolutely fantastic, but there were two additional things I noticed with this update that I didn't actually know previously. One of which was something that they mentioned in QuakeCon, which I believe is something that they may be doing in general throughout the game, but that is that when you kill an enemy with a certain gun, that enemy is now much more likely to drop the ammo type of the gun that you were using to kill it. So therefore, if you go and do a Colossal Problem and you kill lots and lots of the Wendigos, they should keep topping you up with ammunition, which is a really cool thing. And also something which is great about A Colossal Problem is there is a new type of weapon called a cursed weapon. Some people have known about these for a while, but this was the first I'd heard of it. A cursed weapon is a weapon which actually does more damage by default, but actually has a weaker duration bar. And this actually kind of acts as like a fourth legendary effect. More damage, but with less durability, which I think is very, very cool. I definitely think if you want to get those really cool weapons, you are going to have to make sure you get a cursed variant of it, rather than just a regular version, in order to ensure getting the maximum amount of damage. It's kind of like the Fixer, in the sense that there is an extra kind of legendary effect, while still only being 3-star. These cursed weapons are also tradable, which means the Fallout 76 Reddit is going to go crazy for these new ultra high damage weapons we can get only from a Colossal Problem. But overall, I think a Colossal Problem is going to be great, and it is coming to the game on Tuesday, and me and Psykergirl will be streaming it, so make sure you go and subscribe to the channel to see that live stream when a Colossal Problem is released on Tuesday. Another thing we got is that we were able to get a closer look at Season 2. We are obviously coming up to the end of the Legendary run, the very first season of Fallout 76. That ends in about 3 weeks to a month or so. But we were actually able to get a look at some of the cool items inside the new season. It's kind of like a G.I. Joe themed game board this time, where we have got the proud Americans going to fight the Chinese communists on the other side of the board. And there are some very, very cool things in this season. But something which is very notable is that it actually appears to have better rewards in this one than the last one. One of which is a very late reward, is of course the greenhouse set, which we had in Fallout 4. So we'll be able to build glass houses, which is something I've wanted in the game for quite a long time. So it's really nice that they're including that in the score system, and also they are not selling it in the atomic shop, which I think is something really, really good. I'm very happy that that is in there. There is also a Brotherhood of Steel themed prefab, which you can get inside the score system. Again, really, really cool that that's in the score system and not in the atomic store, because they've probably been making a killing on those prefab homes. So it's really good to see that that is in there for free. It also looks exactly the same as the field station the Brotherhood of Steel used in Fallout 1. So that's ace. And something else we noticed in the public test server is that some of the items that are in the Legendary run, our current season, Season 1, some of them are now available to buy using gold bullion inside Fallout 76. For example, you can buy the chicken coop from the settlers using gold bullion. And also the ammo converter is for sale by the raiders. So if you didn't actually take part in the Legendary run, but you still want to get some of those more utility items, you can buy them with gold bullion, which is good because it means you don't have to fork out all of your atoms in order to get those items. You can still get them regardless. So overall, that's a very nice thing. And also, full speculation mode here, but it does appear that there might actually be a hint as to what is coming out with the Fallout shelters coming to Fallout 76. For any of you who are not aware, later on in the year, we are getting something called Fallout shelters, which is essentially a basement level we can build in our camp. We put a door in our camp, or a ladder, and that will lead underground, where we can have an instance building area with much less restrictions. And there actually are some items inside the camp system right now which may actually be connected to that. For example, there is a giant Vault-Tec themed generator, similar to what we saw in Fallout 4 with the Vault-Tec workshop. So maybe, once we actually get our Fallout shelters, they will literally be Fallout shelters, and we can actually build a mini vault. Again, just speculation on that, nothing to actually back that up, but I do think it's very interesting that the very powerful generator is in there. And not only that, but we've also got some really cool, interesting items coming to the camp system, which I'm really looking forward to using. Such as we get solar panels now, so we can actually power our camp with a quiet way. Really nice, that is. And there's also some very strange stuff, like some creepy killer clowns and stuff like that, which is absolutely terrifying. But we're also able to check out some of the cool things we can get for the camp system from Season 2. For example, we've got these really cool kind of shooting galleries we can use. And also weight benches, which will actually give our character some strength. So, more utility items inside the season that, again, you are not using atoms to purchase is a great thing. Next up, we're going to talk about what is probably the biggest change which has come to the public test server, and that is the One Wasteland rebalance. The One Wasteland rebalance is a full balance of the difficulty inside Fallout 76. And how this essentially works is that the enemies that you see will have different levels depending on what player is looking at them or attacking them. So you actually have a more fair fight overall. So a good way to describe this would be is that if I see a level 100 enemy that I am attacking, a very low level player might see that same enemy as a level 20 to them. And they will get, obviously, level 20 themed loot, and I will get level 100 loot. And it's a way to make it so that lower level players can actually compete and take part in higher level events, and the higher level people don't get bad rewards. You know, it's actually quite a cool system, and I do overall think it works well. I like it as a whole. It is very cool to see lots of very new high level enemies. For example, we actually went and did the Scorched Earth event, and there were level 100 Scorched there, which was very, very cool to see these really high level enemies. They are more tough, but it is actually more balanced depending on who you are playing with. You actually get a more fair experience depending on what level you are, which I really, really like. And not only that, but if you're at a higher level, then you are actually guaranteed to get better loot overall. For example, people were talking about on the forum saying that if you do Uranium Fever, you will now get legendary drops that are higher than level 50. Because you, the player, if you're higher than level 50, you will get legendary items that are equivalent of that level. So overall, it's a really, really nice thing. However, I must admit, I haven't actually played it on a new character, so I don't know how effective it is. But I do think overall, higher level players will get more high level loot and also more XP in the long run. So I'm behind it. I think it's quite cool. But there is one problem which we have discovered in the public test server that we absolutely must talk about. And that overall issue is that a lot of the weapons have been nerfed. And that nerf has actually hit certain weapons much harder than others. And it is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Primarily, the main one that people are most upset about is that bloodied weapons have been severely nerfed. And when I say severely nerfed, I mean nerfed to the point to where they are almost unusable in some cases. As far as I am aware, the reason why this is happening is because behind the scenes, a lot of the perks and effects and legendary effects that normally multiply with each other and stack on top of each other no longer do that as much. And this essentially means some weapons are now almost unusable. Primarily, this is mostly affecting bloodied melee builds. Now I'm sure some of you are saying, but final render, bloodied melee builds are surely still going to be good, right? Well, unfortunately, a lot of them now simply aren't. And let me go actually into some numbers to talk about this, to kind of explain to you guys what the issue is. So let's take a look at Psykergirl's weapon. Psykergirl is actually very lucky and is able to have a bloodied Deathclaw gauntlet, same as me, which is very, very powerful. Her character is fully spec'd out to be bloodied melee, and her Deathclaw gauntlet in the regular game as of right now, at just base level, is doing 1442 points of damage. However, inside the public test server, that exact same gauntlet with the same health, bear in mind that she is a bloodied build, both characters are on 35 points of health in these screenshots, is now doing 349. The bloodied Deathclaw gauntlet and other bloodied gauntlets like this, people make their entire characters around them, and this has had a nerf, which is nerfing about 75 to 80% of its damage. Let's take a look at another example, again from Psykergirl. Again, full unyielding, bloodied build, 35 points of HP. She has currently got a bloodied gauntlet, which you can get from completing Wastelanders and buy it from the settlers, which is doing 1,305 points of damage, along with some shock damage. However, over in the public test server, it is doing considerably less. This new weapon is actually doing 331 points of damage. Again, about a 75 to 80% reduction in damage. And the thing is that some people may say, but final render, that's still a high number. Not for Bloodied, it's not. That's genuinely not a very good weapon anymore, considering how risky it is to be up close to an enemy in melee combat, where one shot can kill you and you can't do enough damage with your weapon. Essentially making some Bloodied melee builds completely useless because it is too risky to be a bloodied melee build anymore. But then it gets worse. If you actually go and look at some guns, some actual firearms rather than melee bloodied builds, we can see a big difference too. Here we can see Psykergirl's bloodied Gauss shotgun. She's got a lot of bloodied weapons, that's for sure. Very lucky drops. This is currently doing 1,351 points of damage. Again, full unyielding with 35 points of HP. And also, Psykergirl currently doesn't have any shotgun perks on when she took this photo of this, and it's doing 1,300 points of damage. But then if you go to the public test server, Again, with no perks on for the shotguns, she is doing 844. So look at it this way, she has no perks for shotguns, yet her shotgun is doing close to 3 times the amount of damage as her melee weapons, even though her character has all the melee perks on. This is definitely a problem. Something is definitely wrong with the game. I don't think they plan to nerf them anywhere near as much as they are now, because the big problem is now we have got one Wasteland, the enemies are tougher than they have ever been, and our weapons are now weaker than they have ever been. And also the most powerful weapons we currently had are now some of the weakest weapons in the game, meaning we will need to get a full respec of our characters in order to do some of the damage that we used to do all the time. Now I understand Bloodied melee builds are extremely tough and extremely OP, and it's almost impossible to ignore the obvious bonuses to damage you get, meaning most people pick Bloodied builds. But the simple fact of the matter is, it takes a long time to make a really decent Bloodied build. I myself have a Deathclaw Gauntlet, a Bloodied Swing Speed Deathclaw Gauntlet, and I traded a lot in order to get that. I traded Assassin Sentinel armor pieces to get that weapon. And all that legendary drop-in, all the trade-in, the hundreds of thousands of caps to get all the decent armor, the legendary modules that people invest in to get the perfect armor sets. So much has been invested in these Bloodied melee characters, and now they have been neutered to the point to where they are completely worthless. Something really needs to be done about this. And no, I'm not someone who's just complaining for the sake of complaining. This is clearly something not correct with the game. Another kind of issue we have got at the minute is with, of course, the legendary perk system. The legendary perk system has been updated a little bit since the last time we saw it. Some of the cards actually now have updated artwork, whereas originally they just had empty placeholder art. And also, now when we go and scrap our perk cards, we get 2 perk coins, and these coins we use to buy the legendary perks. However, people are very upset that it is still not enough. When you go and try to get these legendary perk cards, you need hundreds and hundreds of coins in order to upgrade them. So in other words, when we get maybe 1 or 2 coins per card, we essentially need to level up hundreds of times before we can actually fully upgrade one. It's just too much of a grind, and people really don't want to grind that much. However, when we first saw the public card systems with the legendary perks, it was about 5 coins per level rather than 2. And before that it was 1. So really, I think, can we just get it back to 5? We were happy with 5 originally. It was a grind, sure, but we were happy with 5 coins per star. I think that would be good overall if we could return that. And also there's been updates to the public team system to where we have got some changes to some of the teams and also a new one being added. We have now got the Daily Ops public team, so therefore if you're doing Daily Ops, you can make a Daily Ops team and you are able to get extra XP by doing Daily Ops, which I think is really, really cool. Nice way to get some extra XP. And also, the Building public team has now had its name changed to the Casual team. It was very obvious that most people were always joining the Building teams because the Building teams get you extra intelligence points. And with extra intelligence points, you gain more XP. So therefore, they've now made the Building team just the Casual one, which honestly is a more appropriate name for the amount of people who have been using it. So, in conclusion, let's talk about the public test server and what we have seen so far. Daily Ops, I think, is great. I really enjoy Daily Ops. There also doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it, which I think is a really nice thing. The only thing I would like to know is what kind of legendary items and legendary drops can we get from these events. I would definitely like to have a breakdown on the stuff we can earn. A Colossal Problem is great. It's more stable than ever. I really can't wait for that to come out on Tuesday. The new season, I think is also very cool. There's much more useful stuff in there, and a lot of the really good stuff is towards the start rather than the end. So therefore, if you're someone who can't play the game as often, you still get a lot of really cool stuff. Whereas with the Legendary Run, a lot of the really good stuff is in the later parts of the challenge. So that, I think, is really cool. One Wasteland, I think, is genuinely very, very cool. It makes it fairer for all players around. The only problem with One Wasteland is that power leveling your friends isn't really a thing anymore. You know, when your friend would be a low level, they join you a high level, and then they'd rank up quicker. You know, you can help your friend rank up. That's not really a thing anymore, but I do think the game is better for it. And also, the obvious nerfs to Bloodied need to be fixed. It's not just Bloodied melee, by the way. I should probably preface that as well. Most weapons have had a huge nerf, and also the enemies have got much tougher. Overall, I think you need to seriously look at the amount of damage which has been outputted by the weapons and take another pass at it, because people are not happy with it, especially considering they have spent months and months building their characters to get them just right, and then it's all taken out away from them. It feels like the rug's been pulled out from under their feet in a way. But overall, I think the public test server updates this time around have been really, really positive. We just need to take a look at the Bloodied stuff, maybe adjust the legendary perk coin prices and stuff a little bit, and then I'll be happy. So thank you very much for watching this video, people. It's been really cool to go and sit down with the public test server. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What needs to be changed? What needs to be added? What do you think is the best thing about it? And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video or live stream. Remember to check out the cool Patreon people in the description below who help support the channel with their financial donations. You yourself, of course, can also do the same. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, gang. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.